The problem with Shield Hero was never simple rejection or audience spite. From the beginning, there was something wrong in the air, something that bothered people, provoked friction, and aggressively divided opinions. And in Japan, this discomfort was felt even more strongly, not by chance, because Shield Hero touches on wounds that the Japanese public itself recognizes and doesn't like to see exposed. At the heart of the story, Naofumi Watani is summoned as a hero, but immediately cast aside. He receives no respect, support, or trust. He is accused, isolated, and treated like a criminal before even having a chance to defend himself. This point is canonical and defines the entire trajectory of the character. However, in Japan, this type of narrative carries enormous cultural weight. The idea of an individual who breaks social harmony, who doesn't fit in, who refuses to accept the imposed role, and begins to act on his own, is something that generates discomfort. Naofumi doesn't seek collective approval. He survives. And this goes against values deeply rooted in Japanese culture, where integration into the group and the maintenance of order are fundamental pillars. Another detail that weighs heavily is the raw tone of the story. Shield Hero doesn't soften the injustice suffered by the protagonist. The initial betrayal, the contempt of the nobility, the hypocrisy of the church, and the complicit silence of society are not merely narrative obstacles, but direct criticisms of systems that choose a convenient culprit to preserve an image of stability. In Japan, this direct exposure of institutional flaws is not received with enthusiasm. The discomfort doesn't come from the fantasy, but from the mirror it holds up. Naofumi is not an admirable hero in the classical sense. He is bitter, distrustful, closed off, and emotionally wounded, and this completely breaks the traditional expectation of a heroic protagonist. There is also the issue of Naofumi's growth. Unlike many protagonists, he doesn't evolve through public recognition or social validation. He grows in isolation, builds strength outside the system, and begins to challenge established authorities. This extreme independence is seen by some of the Japanese public as something negative, almost an affront to the idea of social cooperation. While in the West this archetype is usually celebrated, in Japan it often generates rejection, not because it's poorly written, but because it directly confronts sensitive cultural values. As the story progresses, Shield Hero attempts to balance this tone, softening conflicts and diluting the initial harshness. Even so, the mark had already been made. For many, the anime started too strong, too raw, too uncomfortable. It wasn't an isolated mistake, nor a technical detail. It was a conscious narrative choice, faithful to the original work, that exacted a high price in domestic acceptance. Japan didn't reject Shield Hero by chance. It rejected it because the story dared to show a hero who doesn't ask permission to exist, doesn't seek public redemption, and doesn't fit the comfortable mold that many expected. And perhaps that's exactly why Shield Hero continues to be so widely discussed. Because stories that are unsettling are rarely forgotten. If this type of narrative captivates you, provokes you, or makes you see the hero in a different light, it might be worth continuing to follow this journey to the end. Sometimes, the most rejected stories are precisely those that tell truths that nobody wants to hear.